Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of the pod we love to call Harambedome, but there's something a little different today. Something a little different going on. There's a host missing. He's MIA. Haven't heard from him in weeks. Well, at least since the last pod. So, as they say, the show must go on. I needed someone to fill in that spot. And I'm always looking for someone with past experience, so if you would care to introduce yourself, temporary co-host.
I'm a man who needs no introduction. Sean, the people, they know who I am. They've been waiting for my return. It's none other than Jay Bizzle here to run the pod with my, I guess, quote-unquote, co-host, Sean.
Is this going to be another situation where you steal the host spot, basically?
No, I mean, you never know. I will definitely have a lot more free time coming around next year, but I'm not so sure the winner of the league should also be running the Dome podcast. So,
Ooh. Well, it was a scenario that had to be done for the sanctity of Dome, but more than willing to share the wealth when next year rolls around. We'll see, but always willing to keep it going too, whatever Harambe's will is.
it's always really refreshing seeing a different host take on the Dome.
It's true. Dome has been passed to quite a few hosts, but the continuity seems to be Jordan. Aside from the year that you and Cole did it together.
Mm-hmm. And also, as much as I hate to admit that Cole might have been right, it definitely has been nice being able to be like a third-party observer, like a lot more able to discuss what's going on in the Dome since I'm not a part of it. So,
Right, and you get the.
I guess Aloysia had a good point on that one.
Doesn't happen often. It
No,
was actually
nor
supposed to
should
be
it.
here, but yeah, we'll talk about that another time.
I think we're going to talk about it right now, actually.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Let me go and just pull up. So, a direct quote. That being said, I can't. I have employee relation training in Seattle. Okay, in Seattle? We know you live in Seattle. What does that matter? Till 5 PST, parentheses 8 EST. Thanks, Cole. None of us know time zones. Me and Sean are too fucking stupid to add 3. That's for sure. Tomorrow, because I kept sending all my coworkers inappropriate messages.
Yeah, this is
Sean. Sean then sends a follow-up. Dong pics? Question mark. Cole coyly replies, I've been advised to not speak on the circumstances. Okay. So what, you got Kilfin? You got Donnie representing you or something? Because that's some professional advice if I've ever heard it.
Yeah, and I'd like to add, so we're still unsure about the seriousness of this situation, but he's not here. So if that speaks to what's going on, there might have been some dong picks. I'm gonna go ahead and I'd say kind of similar to innocent until proven guilty. I'm gonna say dong picks until proven otherwise.
I'm really worried if the cops know that he's going to start moaning when they put him in handcuffs.
I don't know, but I just hope that the cops don't have police dogs there while they're doing it, because that would just be too much for him to handle. So,
Oh Lord,
anyway,
the Lord.
he's not here. We'll just have to.
Thank God.
We'll have to.
I guess we'll just find some way to go on without him. Jeez.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to. Which not to mention, this is actually your first appearance on the pod, and you're appearing not even as a guest, but as a co-host.
For this season, at least. Yeah, for this season, I suppose it is my first appearance.
So far, you've got a schedule that we've got to work around, so we gotta.
Yeah, I've been questionably censored. We tried to get me on before, but for one reason or another, your original co-host just doesn't seem to want to work with me.
You know, I feel like that's a private conversation. That's a conversation you could have had if he was here, but he decided he'd rather dip.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he's a real mogul type, you know. Got some business meetings, whatnot. So I get it, but
he's not even in the state right now. Him and Tuck are such nomads, man. They're just moving around.
At least he didn't charge me to come onto the pod. That's a real mogul move.
The pod has never been in Kevin's hands, so.
Wait, is Tucker not in Florida anymore?
Tucker, no, he's in Florida, but he just goes back and
Uh,
forth. He's like always out of the state. He's in NOLA, he's in Boston, he's in Australia. He's doing all these different things. He was somewhere
hmm
else recently too. I don't remember where he said. We tried to get him on the pod like 3 weeks ago, and he was out of the state. So
This guy.
eventually, we're still waiting on.
No.
We're essentially still waiting on Tuck to get on the pod, and I think that actually is the last person who needs to be on. And then we're trying to land Wardle on an individual appearance and Cole on an individual appearance, and then we'll have given everybody their own individual time.
You guys did a really good job with your scheduling this year.
Yeah, we knocked out some of the harder to get people on early, and so that made it nice to kind of smooth sail the rest of the way. But it's been going good.
For sure.
Although having Wardle on, I mean, we have him on out of obligation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Wardle's like kind of like, I don't know. Wardle and Dome is kind of like, how do I put this? He's like the guy who's always asking to get invited places, but when he gets there, just sits there and doesn't say anything. You know what I mean?
Like sits on his phone and just kind of is away from everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, you get him on the Dome. He starts off really strong, and then you get into the X's and O's of fantasy football and the going-ons of the El Harambe League, and he just kind of fizzles out. It's like he gets Thanos snapped or something.
No, no, I know. Well, he can't do it right now. I even asked him to try and aim for Wednesday because we were trying to get a Wednesday person, and he's on a cruise right now, a Disney cruise, because he's a big Disney. I think he was wearing ears too.
He can't even swim.
He can't what?
He can't even swim. What's he doing on a cruise?
I mean, he doesn't have to swim on the cruise. I mean, I'm sure he's assuming that there's, he's a privileged guy. I think he assumes there's a lifeboat waiting for him.
Mm-hmm.
Just for him. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think he thinks he'll have to swim. But he's doing some work on there. He's doing some sort of recording for something. So.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a job. It's a job. So.
No, that is fun.
Hopefully he comes back safe and then can get on the pod again. But all right, let's without further ado, let's roll into our winners of the week. And since it's just two co-hosts, I'll take the one who's on here not as often. Go ahead, hit me. Who do you think your winner of the week is?
Yeah, so this week, purely out of spite, my winner of the week is Va. JJJ, little Spidey Va. He's gone by many names, but my favorite is the Ascended Loesch Slayer, putting Loesch down into an early grave.
The Ascended
My
Loesch
guy,
Slayer.
He didn't go off, 117.1 fantasy points. I feel like on your average year, that's a pretty good score.
Yeah.
I feel like this year we've had some really volatile, high-scoring teams. Would you agree with that statement? Like,
I'd say this season we've got the closest to 200 that we've ever gotten, so I'd say that speaks for itself there. But we've had other weeks where there's been multiple 170s. So
yeah, and those are rarity. Yeah, so he put up a pretty average performance, but he did it against arguably my least favorite human being on this planet. The Loesch. The quote-unquote ascended Loesch. But he's got knocked back down to earth. Now he's just Loesch, which, as we all know, is nothing you ever want to be. I'm taking a look at the box score real quick. Varun may have lost a little something in Josh Allen after this week. Josh Allen went off for 30 points. Josh Jacobs, I'm sorry, he went off for 25.9 points, a little under his projection. Yep. Josh Jacobs underperformed pretty significantly. I think maybe you're grossing more to what he actually is. But boy, oh boy, this man, Kenneth Walker III. Did Varun pick this guy up off the waivers? He didn't draft him, right?
Varun did draft him. He drafted him, I don't know how or why, but in the 15th round.
Oh my goodness. What a pull, man. That guy looks electric in that offense. He looks really, really good.
Yeah, well, he was a guy in Michigan State, and they knew that coming into the league as a rookie here. But Penny was going to be what stood in his way, and everyone thought with Geno Smith taking the helm that the Seahawks were basically a lost cause. I mean, I was talking to a friend before the season started saying the Seahawks would have 4 games tops, and now we're sitting here with them 6-3, leading their division and the Lions at
Well,
halfway through the season with halfway to 4 wins. So
you-
script
2 wins.
flipped, but yeah, I
You know
mean,
what's you know what's really funny about that whole Seahawks debacle?
hmm,
Do you remember when I revealed my draft strategy on draft night
I
that
don't.
I
I
was going to
probably.
take I was going to take Geno Smith at quarterback?
Oh, did you say that?
I definitely said that, but Loesch took him from me. What was I supposed to do?
Yeah, no,
Actually, I think he picked Geno Smith above the waivers.
Loesch.
I'm
Yeah,
not
he
sure, but
did. He did. No one drafted Geno that night.
yeah, that was a big L.
Yeah, and Gino, well, you know what's funny is if we're being completely honest, I don't know what you would consider top tier quarterback play out of the position, but Gino's kind of since week 6 has kind of regressed down back to where like it makes kind of sense cuz he's got 14, 18, 24 and 27. And I think 27 is a decent week. I'd say if you score over 20 you're hitting like where you I don't know if you can win with that unless I mean I think when you're getting a quarterback that averages in the 20s, you're probably because you sacrificed to the position to get stronger other positional players. Um, but he hasn't done too great the past month. But he had that little stretch, those 2 games. Really, if you count week 3 too, 26, 39, and 35, where he was winning people games.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, look, week 3 and week 4, who is he playing? Atlanta and the Lions, who arguably have the worst NFL defense in the past decade, I think.
yeah, somehow we beat Aaron Rodgers though last week.
I mean, here's the thing. You asked like what I think is a good fantasy quarterback.
Sure.
If you average over 20 points, you are a good fantasy quarterback. You're not an elite week winning quarterback, but you're definitely a fine quarterback if you punted on the position. Maybe you took your quarterback rounds 8 to 12 or something. Like, if you're getting
Right.
20 points a week from your quarterback, you're not upset, right? Because you're making it up in other places.
Right.
If you reach for a quarterback, they better be making closer to 28 to 35 a week, in my opinion.
Yeah, so like for example, a good example of a couple people who reached for quarterbacks were me and Va, and right now Josh Allen averages 35 points a week, and Pat Mahomey averages 33 points a week,
Exactly.
33.5.
So to me,
So
that's up in the elite quarterback range. But if you're averaging over 20, especially for a quarterback you got off the waiver wire, right?
yeah,
Like,
averaging 24 points per game.
you're not upset at all.
Yeah, that I'd say that's fair. I'd say yeah, if you're averaging in the 20s, that's all right. Like if you look at Ted's situation, that's what I say with Aaron. Aaron averages. Oh, actually, Aaron's averaging 18.3. No bueno.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
sure what's going on there. I don't think he's washed. I think maybe he's checked out a little bit, though.
yeah, I think it's something. Well, when you're an organization that claims that you're there to help the guy, and then you trade away his best receiver, um, for whatever purpose, and replace him with a bunch of rookies that aren't like the type, like the Jamar Chase type, that are going to have giant rookie seasons or anything like that. Yeah, you put him in a worse position, and I would imagine he checks out a little bit there.
Are you talking about Devontae Adams?
Yes.
Was he traded or signed to just a fatty contract that they didn't want to match? He
That's a
was a free agent, wasn't he?
great detail. I thought Devontae was. Hold on. Maybe.
Oh no, it was a trade. You're right.
Yeah,
No,
they did. They traded him. Yeah.
for a first and a second. Okay.
Yeah. Also, someone who's gotten good value for their quarterback is Jordan. Jalen Hurts is averaging 30 points per game, and he drafted him in the 8th round. So he's drafting him. He was drafting expecting like maybe 25 points per game. He's getting 5 points per game more.
Yeah,
So
so
pretty
Jalen
good.
Hurts is one of those guys that really took a step forward in his passing attack, I feel, this year. And I don't know if that's because they just upgraded. They got what's his name, AJ Brown from the Titans. Is that what his name is, AJ Brown?
Yep. Yeah, AJ Brown
Yes,
definitely
that
helps.
that guy is a monster, just like 50-50 ball winner.
Couldn't agree more.
And maybe if you got a quarterback, because if I'm not mistaken, Jalen Hurts is all like scrambling and throwing type stuff, right?
Right. Right.
So as the play develops and you're able to get a 50-50 ball winner into a one-on-one situation as coverage breaks down as the play develops, like you got a quarterback that can keep it alive, can get the ball to the area, and then you got some players that can make big plays for you. Like it just seems he's really in a great situation to have taken that step forward, and it's manifesting this season.
Yeah, I mean it's absolutely the case with the undefeated Eagles, and yeah, and I don't. Yeah, so winner of the week being Va, I think that is a big deal. I think he.
I also have one more point with
Oh, go
his
ahead.
winner of the week. He got that dub without Jonathan Taylor, and he's pretty much gotten every dub this season without Jonathan Taylor.
Yes, this is a great
Uh,
point
I
because Jonathan Taylor
I
is a bust so far.
I don't know if you agree with this statement I'm about to make. If you're first pick overall and it does not work out, it's very hard to make it to the winners bracket.
Um. Well, I don't know if I agree or disagree with that. I think because I'm trying to think of my. Are you talking about like first round? Did you say first round or first overall pick?
First overall, like if you're pick one and it busts, like good luck. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
my opinion
I,
on
I
the
I
position.
would say that's definitely the case. I would say the only exception I could think of is if you just have a strong draft the rest of the way and you get value like Va did in the 15th round getting Kenneth Walker. And then um and like Josh Jacobs, right now, even though he's kind of regressed back, he's still a top 10 running back that he got. I mean, a top 10 running back he got in round 5. And so in other areas, I think he's done okay, and so I think that will help him boost a little bit. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, yeah, I mean, we've seen it with McCaffrey drafters. You draft him, he, a month in is done for the season, and then you're not really the same team. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's a tough one. But no, I think it's big for Vatu because if I'm right here, the standings. Va maintained a 1 game lead in the West for that bye week right there over you. Actually, you're the next in line, so that was a big game, very big game to keep that lead. Because have you two matched up yet?
In Varun,
Yeah, you guys matched up.
I think we have played.
Let's see.
I'm not positive. I don't really remember. I just see red and start swinging, but
It looks like you and Va have played, and
I
Va
think Varun
beat you.
won.
Yeah, week
And I think
5.
and I think he beat me handedly, right?
Yeah, 152 to 115. But
Yeah, that's right. He
also,
stomped me out.
you guys
Oh, that
play.
was
What's that?
I was at the Bucks game that week. That I was at the Bucks game that week. My friend took me, and
Okay.
he was like, "Yo, Josh Allen has 4 touchdowns in the first half, or something crazy like that." I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I just gave up. Yeah,
Just
they were playing with the
because.
Steelers, right? The Steelers stomped. They got stomped. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then in points for. See, you're only 80 points away from Va in points for, and that's a slow climb, but considering you're both high scoring teams, but you also match up again down the road. So it could be very interesting in a couple weeks from now, depending on what happens these next couple games. So you guys could be playing for the title because I think you guys played like the week before the last week, which potentially, depending on what Wardle does, could end up capping off like who ends up winning this thing,
mhm.
West Division wise. So
Yeah, very, very good point.
interesting. Definitely
Uh,
implications there. I would have to throw in. So for my winner of the week, I will have to go with. You know what? I'm gonna give it to our boy Dad, aka Brennan, aka Follow Spike, because he put up, as we're talking about how rare 170 is, he put up 167.78.
yeah,
So
that's
he had.
effectively 170, right?
Say again.
It's like effectively 170.
You're right there, and so this is coming after an episode of the last pod where we were questioning if Follow Spike was the worst team in our fantasy league right now, and how that affected potentially the punishment, and how just what the state of his team was, how he wasn't spending any money to potentially fix it. And his team answered. I guess this is Harambe's will, trying to remind us that no one's ever counted out. Yeah, highest would have beaten anyone this week. 167. Sent Broncos country, let's ride, down another game closer to 500. And he now has the revived TJ Hawkinson being on the Vikings. James Conner came back, and in his first game back in action in, I believe he missed 3 games in a row, and then he might have gotten hurt in that one game that he played where he had 7. So he almost put up 10 in his first game back. We'll see if that can get better. But the Bucks defense giving him almost 10. One thing I've learned too, and I think you can account for this being someone with Nick Folk, is that a lot of what makes a big difference is truly when your defense and kicker, your little last positions, put up like double digits for you each. It's
Oh yeah, I mean, my matchup against Jordan, Nick Folk pretty much sealed the deal.
yeah,
It was like
he got
forget
big
about it.
nicked.
So for me, those three positions that matter, yeah, definitely tight end, defense, and kicker. Like having a tight end that can score, it basically allows you to play like what's the way I'm trying to phrase this? You basically have another wide receiver one on your team when you have a good tight end. And that's impossible to replicate under average circumstances, right?
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. I think a tight end definitely makes a huge difference if you have one that can go off like that.
I mean, in the
Um,
case of me, I got another running back on my in my tight end slot. He just doesn't get enough carries. But
that's true. Well, you've got a Swiss Army knife in that tight
yeah,
end
what the
spot.
hell? What the hell is that guy? Dude, I think you're right about Dad though. I mean, keeping faith with the mix man, Joe Mixon. I think he set like a franchise record for most touchdowns in a game, right?
Yeah, I didn't even mention Joe Mixon yet. Yeah, he set a Bengals franchise record, um, and 56 points. I mean, all he would need to do is have 8 other players get a total of 50 points to get over 100 with how Joe Mixon did. And so obviously he excelled that, or exceeded that, I should say. Because Tua had a great game. And I'm telling you, man, I don't know how you personally, fantasy aside, feel about Tua as a Dolphins quarterback, but I was. Deanna's brother is a huge Dolphins fan, and so I've always been hearing about how he likes Tua and how Tua doesn't get enough credit. And obviously, he's been given 2 elite receivers draft and via trade, or signing, whichever it was for Hill. But I mean, someone's still got to throw the ball to them. I mean, Tua is playing very well when he's not hurt. I think he's because I watched a whole Tua game by watching him play the Lions 2 weeks ago, and he looked very good. I mean. Again, it wasn't just. I mean, Hill was getting open, but I mean, Tua was also hitting him. I mean, it takes 2 to tango. So I think Tua is playing very decent, and he's fantasy quarterback. Even with the 2 weeks of injury, he's fantasy quarterback 9. He's top 10. So, and he also
So
has a 50-point week in there, basically 60.
I personally think that Tua is elite as far as accuracy in the short to middle throws. I think that his deep ball is not elite on in the sense that he's no Patrick Mahomes, he's no Josh Allen.
Right.
Russell Wilson years ago, the most accurate deep ball in the league. Not the ghost of Russell Wilson that we're seeing now, but however, I think that what's their McDaniels, is that their coach's name?
Um. Hold on.
That nerdy looking dude,
I keep
Mike
forgetting.
McDaniels,
Mike
something like that.
McDaniel. Yeah, McDaniel.
Yeah, that guy is putting on a coaching masterclass with those wide receivers. Like he's scheming
Yeah.
them so open in that short to middle range, and Tua can always hit them essentially. And then whenever the time comes to throw a deep ball, maybe Tua gets a good one. Tyreek Hill, no better deep threat in the league than Tyreek Hill, right? That dude's catching the ball, and if he's got any space, he's taking it to the house. It's just like it's the perfect storm, and I think Tua's like the perfect quarterback for the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. I think the Dolphins are in a really good spot, and I think that they are a true contender for the AFC Championship. I'll say that.
Mm.
I don't know if they would make it past that, but I think they're a team that can get there. And so I think it'll make that division with the Bills interesting because I think they're only a game behind the Bills, and they still have a game to play against each other. And the last game they played against each other, the Dolphins won. So I am interested to see what happens, but I think that game was in Miami, and so I think that means it's Buffalo in the snow. And it is week 15, Buffalo in the snow for Tua coming up from Miami. So we'll see about that one. But I like Tua, and Tua is helping Dad out. I think he's got the bye week with Tua out of the way, and so yeah, I think Dad's not necessarily in a terrible spot if Mixon can even replicate. If this is like the start of Mixon getting like a touchdown or two a game, at least a touchdown a game every other game. But he also had 153 yards. Like prior to this, Mixon had 100 yards from total scrimmage, but he never rushed for 100 yards at one point in the season, and never had more than one touchdown in a game all season, and only 3 touchdowns total. So this is the start of Mixon even being half as good as he was on last week, meaning he's putting up 20 points a game on average. Dad is in a pretty okay spot, especially with the new T.J. Hawkinson, Tua being healthy, and the potential for Marquise Brown to come back. Let's not forget, I know D-Hop is back, but prior to Marquise Brown getting hurt was wide receiver 5. So I think
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot going on at Dad's team, dude.
there is. He was down
Michael
for a
Carter,
bit, but he held
Michael
strong.
Carter split up to RB1 now, right, for the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, there's James Robinson, but I don't know how that situation is going. You have James Robinson, so
Yeah, rest in peace, that guy. But so you got essentially another RB1 on an offense that isn't even doing terribly. Like the Jets used to be a laughingstock, right? But what are they now? Like 6-2, 7-1.
yeah.
I forget. I don't know what their record is. They're doing just fine. T.J. Hawkinson, Kirk Cousins loves tight ends, man.
Yeah,
Like when
he
he was
does.
playing for the Redskins,
Who was their
their
tight
tight
end
end.
then?
What's that?
Who was their tight end when he was playing for the Redskins?
If I'm not mistaken, it was that one guy who proceeded to get injured over and over, or concussions repeatedly.
Oh, yes.
Uh,
Jeez. Hold on.
and after that, it was another guy, this like big white guy. I forget his name, but he was awesome. Like I had him. That dude was money. I can't remember
Okay.
his
Oh,
name now either.
Jordan Reed, right? It was
Yeah,
Jordan
yeah,
Reed
Jordan.
who was
I
getting
think
hurt, but
so.
they also had Vernon Davis at one point.
Oh, Vernon Davis was who I was talking about. That was like originally, I think he had that guy. Then they had this big white guy. Is that Jordan Reed?
I don't think that's Jordan Reed. I I don't remember who that other person
I
is.
had him like 2 years in a row. I loved him. He was just so good. But
Um,
Kirk Cousins, like he throws to good tight ends, man. So T.J. Hawkinson is an awesome tight end. There were times, I think I was trying to trade for him from you years ago, but he's going to feast in that offense.
yeah, he is. He is, and yeah, because Kirk is definitely a better quarterback than Jared Goff. So
And I think that the Michael Carter situation kind of cures a lot of his woes because Najee Harris was a first round pick, 8th overall. I hope he wasn't taken above Nick Chubb. That would be crazy. But when did you draft Chubb?
I drafted Chubb at the end of the second round.
The second? Even I should have grabbed Chubb. What was I thinking? Anyways, um, yeah. So Najee Harris, like way, way underperforming. Right? He's like not even an RB2. He's position rank 28. So in our league, he's like terrible.
He's not even a
But
flex, dude. He's not
yeah,
even.
Michael Carter.
Yeah.
Michael Carter's now slipping in, slithering, if you will. Gonna be getting some mad fantasy points, I think, coming up. It's gonna be good for that guy's team.
Yeah. All
The
right.
Bucks defense is gonna average at least 10 points going forward because the Bucks are done losing. I know that.
Hey, I'm okay with that because that means Mike Evans can end up truly being my wide receiver too, like I need him to be, rather than giving me 6 points. So, well,
Broncos country. Let's ride.
that's right, and let's ride into the loser of the week. Who you got? Who took the fat L?
So loser of the week. I'm gonna have to be real with you here. The fat L comes down to Broncos country. Let's ride. You look at this guy's score, right? And you actually just made the point that when your defense scores like 10 points, you expect to win. This dude's defense scored 26,
Yes.
and he still lost.
Yes.
Now, granted, he played against almost a 60-point Joe Mixon.
Yep.
But man, does that sting when you get your defense to just pop off like dynamite. 26 points from the defense slot and still take an L.
Yeah. And it actually bolstered the Pats back to the number one defense in the league, which, if you recall from last year, they were going back and forth with Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're sitting back.
I
Like
mean, the real
number
reason
one.
that this loss stings, right? Like 123, that's not a bad score.
Right.
But just to get blown out by some luck, essentially, is definitely stinging. Uh, Another reason this guy is my loser of the week, as I just learned today, Darren Waller's going on IR.
Yep.
So he lost the Darren Waller train. Not that the Walrus was doing all that good up to this point,
Now
but
here's actually this isn't really a question that makes sense because Waller hasn't really played at all. But I wanted to ask this question to you because it's a good question in terms of just football in general, even less about fantasy. But when for a receiver, like so that receiver tight end situation, like Waller and then like Devonte Adams and like Hawkinson and Amon-Ra St. Brown and situations like that, when a good tight end or wide receiver, whichever one, goes away, does that help the other one or does it hurt the other one? Because from the perspective of like, does it help them? Because like you can either go two routes. You can say it helps them because now they're going to be targeted more, or you're going to say it hurts them production wise because now they're going to be covered harder because there's one less quality player to cover. Which route do you go?
okay. So I think target volume is king, right? Like
Okay,
who cares what the coverage is if you're getting less balls thrown to you, right?
right,
Because the maximum points you can score is based upon the amount of balls thrown to you. You can't score points unless the ball's thrown your way. So
right,
target volume to me is king in fantasy perspective, purely from a fantasy perspective, right? Uh, so let's say before you had both you guys, you only got 5 targets, but because the coverage was less, you were wide open. You get 10 yards of target. That's like 50 yards, right?
right,
Now you're on your own. Maybe the coverage is harder, but you get your normal targets plus this other guy's targets. And maybe you're also being schemed a little differently now that they don't have that weapon. So you might be catching some more short routes. Who knows what's going on, right? But
right,
in general, if you're seeing more work volume, you should perform better in fantasy. Now, in reality, I think it makes your job a lot harder as a player when the defense is no longer worried about like 2 weapons, right?
right.
For example, if you're playing basketball, you're playing pickup, and the dude that you're guarding, you know he absolutely cannot shoot threes, right?
Okay, yeah,
So
right,
your defense is you can play 3 steps back from him. Like the defense is obviously easier to play when you know they have one less weapon than they need. And the same thing happens in reality when you know that whatever bum at tight end they're running out now that Darren Waller isn't out there is not going to be catching the ball, or if he does catch the ball, he's not tearing off a 30 or 40 run after catch. Then screw it, let's double the wide receiver and get cut up underneath, right? So from a fantasy specific perspective, definitely think it's better to have a stud traded away if the wide receiver is truly a stud. Because I think we kind of saw in the Pittsburgh situation, right, when Antonio Brown left, Juju kind of got exposed as not truly being like a stud wide receiver one,
right.
I think.
No, I agree with you. So yeah, it's just a matter of is that player who's staying a stud? 'Cause if they are,
E-
then it helps.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's fair. That's fair. All right. Well then, that's a fair loser of the week. Yeah, you get 123. You're trying to continue to fight to stay in the race because at this point he's trying to fight to stay in the race for the East's bye week,
Hmm.
um, which brings up and I can't believe I've never done this before. I'm not super keen on doing this, but in this situation, I have to do it. I have to say, my loser of the week this week is me. It's me.
You're calling yourself out?
I'm gonna call myself out. Jordan's done it once this
Oh my
year.
god! Nobody.
I'm gonna do
Oh,
it.
who could have seen this coming?
I'm gonna do it. I've actually I can tell you this. I've never hopped on Dome before once and called myself loser of the week in all the years we've done Dome, and this time I'm gonna do it. And maybe that's because I wasn't on every episode like I am this season, but I'm gonna do it because and there's a couple reasons. And Va will listen to this eventually, and he'll know part of what I'm gonna say because I already told him about it. But first of all, we're in the race for the East. and Tuck just narrowed that down to one game. So I had a chance there, and granted, I'm not even giving the excuse that I was on quote a bye week with Chubb and Saquon and Kittle out, because I made the trade of trading Jetta away for Saquon, and he on top of that, Tuck also had Cooper and CD. He had his whole receiving core out, so it doesn't matter. I had a chance to pull away here, and really have a good shot at going 8-1, Tuck dropping to 5-4, and really, with aside from a major collapse, securing the bye week, and I'm pretty sure 100% playoff chance. And instead, I dropped it. Okay, I had Mahomes went off, which always, he does it pretty much every week, but it's still hard to see it happen and not win with it. I had two double-digit scores aside from him. I had Hop with 11 and the Ravens defense with 11, and those were the only two double digits, and they barely cracked it. Everybody else was in single digits. No other player I put in worked out, and Tuck is over here. He got his receiving core going hard. Putting
Over 15 for both, yeah.
over 15 for both. Austin Eckler did his thing. Joe Burrow didn't even have to pop off. Jamal Williams just got over double digits, but this is what makes Tuck, or this is what makes me loser of the week, because I already crowned Dad winner. That Kenyon Drake move right there that he made. It was Wednesday morning. It was actually Tuesday evening. I had Gus the Bus still. I saw he was questionable, but he still had a projection. And so I said, I don't think he's going to play. It looks doubtful. Even though he's not doubtful yet, Kenyon Drake is buried down in the running backs. I'm going to snag him. No one will think to. He's not even in the top 10. And I don't think anyone went over to look at my team to see what Gus's injury status is. So I put a $0 bid down on Kenyon, in the sense that in the mindset I knew I was getting him. This was just an easy pickup, and I might not even play him. The next morning, Tuck had put down, I think it was $10 on Kenyon, and took him from me and played him, and that was the swing. That was the swing that won him this game. If you look at the score, the 96 to 127, if I had flipped it and I had Kenyon. Now, then again, of course, we'd have to think about who he was putting in at that point in flex, and then maybe it could have been different too. But at least from that perspective, that was a game-winning move from Tuck early in the week that he definitely deserves his credit for.
So, I don't know, man. He could have just flexed Dallas Goedert and still just stomped you out, but
he could have. But I don't. So say I replace Can't Guard Mike with Kenyon. That's a 20-point swing. That would put me at 114. And say you take he's at 110, so yeah, he would have won by 7 if he had just flexed in Goddard. But who knows what he would have done? Who knows? There was also talk. What's also interesting is there was talk of I won't name the source, but Tuck almost traded Goddard before this week, or before his game this week. So that might have even swung something in a different direction.
Interesting.
So there was a whole bunch that coulda, shoulda, woulda, and there's always more moving pieces than that. But I want to give Tuck credit there, because he stole a player away from me. I was going to start and then use that player to pound me into the dirt. So he's now second in the East, 1 game back. We are tied because I beat him last time we played, but our points for are separated by, I think, about 100. So it's tight. It's getting tight. So loser of the week is me for not capitalizing on a chance to take down and really separate myself, because the next closest person would have been 5-4, and I would have been 8-1, and so big L. But
hey, I'm not trying to swing or stop you early. I just want to point this out about ESPN Fantasy, the service.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look at matchups for next week. I click matchups. It pulls up. It's we're presenting FantasyCast ad-free after a message from our sponsor. What the fuck do you think ad-free means? You're showing me an ad. Am I confused on what the definition of ad-free is?
No, I think you're just getting scammed.
Yeah, what the heck? I mean, maybe they get away with this, but they won't keep getting away with this.
No, go make some noise about it. Go contact ESPN. Tell them that they're faux. Faux like faux news. Oh,
All
all
right.
right. Well, then let's
I
roll
get. What do
into
we
it.
got? We're looking forward to the future now, right?
We're looking to the future, into our
My
matchup
eyesight is going bad.
of the week. Who do you got?
This week, man, who do I got? That's such a good question. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't even put a single thought into this one.
I think that's pretty
Do
much
you do
everyone
you
every
do you
week.
do you have a matchup of the week? Maybe you can go ahead and I can cook
Um,
something up.
yeah, I have a matchup that I think is going to be an interesting one that I'm going to take a look at. My matchup of the week this week is actually going to be, and there's a couple you can honestly I see a couple interesting ones, but with a couple different storylines, and maybe I'll give some honorable mentions at the end that are brief. But the matchup of the week I'm going with is Bums R Us versus Follow Spike.
Oh, the Ivy Bowl, former roommates turned
For
foes.
the Ivy Bowl. Yes, the former roomies. Um, I like this matchup. I'm going to be paying attention to this matchup. One, because of how I just explained that Tuck's a game back from me now. Um, I'm interested at any time Tuck loses because he's really turned his shit around since the beginning of the season. And so him at 6-3 and Dad at 3-6, but Dad's coming off the highest scoring week out of anybody that past week, or the highest scoring out of anybody that past week. And now, can he follow it up? I mean, we were just talking about how is Dad buried in his chance to make the playoffs. But now, if he can string together a few wins and pull close to 500, I mean, anything is possible. And so we all know how dirty and messy and gross that little bracket there gets at the very end when all the teams are like 6-7 and 7-6 and all that crap. So I like this matchup. I don't put value in projections personally, but for those who do out there, the projection is close. Um, the box score here, let's look at who they've got lined up to play. It's interesting because it's a bye week for Mark Andrews and Joe Burrow, but it's also a Joe Mixon bye week. So Tuck decided to roll with the gamer, Taylor Heineke,
Uh huh.
and hopefully Heineke just gets the. It's never pretty with Heineke, but it's dirty, it's messy, but he gets it done. So let's see if he can do that for Tuck. He's got Eckler, he's running Eckler, he's got his receiving core back. He's put in Goddard, and now on the other end you have Tua. Najee Harris now has to fill in for Joe Mixon. Um, James Conner is now his RB2. We've got Hawkinson 2 weeks in, but that Bucks D that you said is getting no less than 10 points. So can this game will be interesting. I personally, unfortunately, think Tuck is gonna win and move to 7-3, which puts pressure on me. But I'm very interested to see if maybe Dad can pull this off.
Now, I also just want to give a shout out. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't there an icy hot take by none other than co-host Jordan Dry stating that Tucker was going to go on a rampage?
This is correct. I think it was at one point. So I think it was earlier in the season he said Tuck was going to do it, and then Tuck had like one game, but then he fell flat within the prediction, so it failed. But now Tuck's almost like restarted it again. Like he's picked it back up, and I think Jordan might have even mentioned it again. So yeah, Jordan's taking any chance he gets to hype up the scrim, and yeah, Tuck's on a tear. Tuck is on a
And it
tear with
makes
his
sense too
team.
because they're OG chat boys with each other. So
Of course, yeah, yeah, they're OG chat boys. I think they're OG lovers too, actually.
interesting.
Yeah, there were definitely some nights in Epsy that Jordan was going back to Tim's room, wiping something off of his face at like 2 in the morning. Yeah,
Ooh,
it was.
what the heck?
But then he wouldn't even make it to his room. He would go straight to Lucas by quote accident.
There's
So
so much Epsi lore I'm getting revealed to me.
Epsy was basically just one giant orgy, essentially, is what I'm getting at here. So
Oh yeah.
you all missed out living in Maple. So
Oh yeah. Look, you guys may have had a giant orgy, but we had our own thing going on in Maple.
what was going on in Maple?
I mean, didn't you guys have two showers,
We did.
or was it two toilets?
It was both.
Oh, exactly. So like the per capita for the shower and toilet, we definitely had y'all beat. And let's just
Uh,
say we didn't waste any water.
that's fair. Well, you don't want to be wasteful though.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
there's no reason. We all look out for the environment here. I think that's one of the things that we all like about each other. We have in common is that we all care about the environment. So
All right.
yes.
I think I'm ready. I think I got my matchup of the
All
week
right,
coming up.
run it.
All right. I think I got Living in Babylon versus Broncos Country Let's Ride. And at
Mm.
this point, you might just think I have a hard on for Broncos Country Let's Ride. Uh, you would be right, but that doesn't matter. What I want to say about this is third and fourth place in the East Division, 4-5, 5-4. If Jordan wins, this would squarely put him above Broncos Country Let's Ride in the East because they'd be the same record, and I don't think they've played each other yet, have they?
Um, they have. Let's see. Let's see.
Oh, they have. This won't be their first
No,
matchup.
no, no. I can tell you right now.
Okay.
Um, let's see. Let's see. His schedule, full schedule. He has answer coming. He actually lost to Broncos Country Let's Ride in week one.
Okay, so even better. So if he manages to beat Broncos Country here, he ties it up. He ties their record, and then it goes to what the points scored tiebreaker.
Yeah, goes to the points for unlike yeah, it only so it's if you're 1-1, it goes and you're matching up in the tiebreakers just the two of you, it goes to points for it. It only becomes like common record and stuff like that when I believe. I mean Ted's the guru with this stuff, but I believe when it's like three or more and they all have weird
Oh, interesting.
tiebreakers, it becomes like
Okay.
common record or something like that. But when it's just 1-1, yeah, if they're just going against each other, it's gonna be points for.
Now I had to take a guess that Jordan has scored more points.
Well, I can answer that question too. Jordan has 1,089, and Broncos
Actually,
Country
that
has
seems really low.
957. Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. Never mind. Yeah, so if Jordan wins this week, that puts him in third place in the East.
Yes, it
So this
does.
has a lot. This matchup has a ton of implications.
Yep. No, it most definitely does.
So that's why I'm looking forward to this matchup. Also, we don't have like a huge amount of bye week things going on in this matchup. We got two pretty much full strength teams going against each other, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yes. Looks like. I mean, I think his wide receiver two is hurt, and Mike Williams, Jordan's that is. But then again, he goes
Mhm.
back and forth between Gabe and the other. So,
Right.
and I think. Oh well, aside from I mean, injury wise, the Pats D is on the bye. The number one defense is on a bye. Jamar Chase is still out, and Darren Waller just hit IR.
Here's the
So
thing, though. Even though the Patriots defense is on a bye, the number two fantasy defense is whoever's playing Detroit,
that's true.
which is the Titans. So he's got the number two fantasy defense for next week.
No, they're playing Denver. They're playing Denver.
Oh, that's Denver?
Yeah,
Oh, my bad. I don't have my
we
glasses
play the
on. Sorry about
Bears.
that. Okay, never mind. He might have like the number three fantasy defense then because the Denver
Yeah.
Broncos cannot find the end zone either, it seems.
That's also I find that. Do you not find that a little bit controversial? The fact that his name is Broncos Country Let's Ride, clearly supporting Russ, but then he's going to start the defense who's playing Russ and bench Russ in the
So here's the
process.
thing. Here's the thing that I see. That Titans defense just ate up Kansas City. Aside from like the last, I don't know, 5 minutes of regular time and then the overtime,
Right.
they kind of had Patrick Mahomes' number for a second there until some good adjustments came through. Um, I think he's right in maybe fading Russell Wilson for that matchup.
So
Russell Wilson used to be that really elusive pocket quarterback, or not pocket quarterback, but uh,
kind of scrambling quarterback.
yeah, scrambling quarterback. Thank you very much. I cannot think of the word.
Yeah.
Um, but doesn't really have that anymore. At least he hasn't shown it this season, right? So,
Yeah. No, I'd agree with you. So
and you got Jimmy Garoppolo.
yeah, he's
Oh, I'm
starting
sorry, just what
Jimmy
I'm saying.
G.
Jimmy Garoppolo can just he can just check it down to Christian McCaffrey 40 times a game and be successful, right?
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, you're the person talking about averaging 20. Jimmy G since coming in is averaging pretty much 20 points a game. That 20 points a game is getting hurt a little bit by not playing that first game. I think I don't know if it counts it or not, but
Does it have a zero?
oh no, it doesn't. It's just lines.
Yeah,
So it must
it
not
only
count.
counts if there's a zero.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's not counted. But so he's averaging 20 points a game in the last month. 22, 22, 22, 23. So you can almost count on what he's going to do for you. Which is always, honestly, that is a very useful thing when you have a blend of that and some pop-off guys. So, he's got that quarterback in, but I think this is truly a case of Broncos country. Let's ride the bench, because I think Russell Wilson is going to be riding his bench.
Mm.
But I like this matchup too, and there's implications on my end too, because at 7-2, Jordan going 5-5. If I were to lose 7-3, we still have weeks left, and Jordan and I still have a matchup left. So me winning this week, and him losing would be great. But then there's also Broncos country, who's in my East too, who then would be moving up to 6-3. So I don't even know how I feel about this one. I'm conflicted on how to feel. But the projection, again, for those who value it, because we even if we disagree on things, we talk for everyone here. It's an 18-point projection right now. But then again, like I said, Va was projected to beat me by 20, and I beat him by 30. So, there's that. But
projections, they are based on averages, but variance is a real thing.
Variance is a very, very real thing. So, all right, let's move into our next segment here. Let's see. Not our budget summary segment, but our waiver segment, and we're going straight to the offers report. So what Jordan decided to switch up on the pod is he likes when we go back from every day after when we last did the show, so we can see who picked people up since. So when we covered, it was Wednesday and Thursday we're looking at. So we're going to go back to Friday, November 4th first, and just look at some old moves. So Last Friday, there was Vaz grab for Deion Jackson, where, this is interesting. This is actually interesting. The Colts, Indianapolis Colts, backup running back, because Jonathan Taylor was out this past week. He actually beat Follow Spike out for that. It was a $6 bid over Follow Spike's $5 bid. And then Va added Hayden Hurst that week for another $3. Then on Sunday, November 6th, right before games last week, Follow Spike did the $5 Josh Palmer ad. I did the $2 Benjamin ad that didn't work. Va added the Colts defense for $1, and then didn't add the Chiefs defense because he added the Colts. And it turns out Follow Spike had beat out Thomas the Spank Engine's attempt to add Josh Palmer for
not $0.
Spank. Yep, Tank got beat out. Tank wasn't willing to open the wallet, so Tank did not get who he was looking for. And then I had 3 claims that were just backups for Eno because I didn't know how it was going to go, and it was game day, so I knew I had to add someone. So I put a claim in on Hilliard, Isaiah Pacheco, I believe, and then Samaje Perine. So Pacheco, yeah. So didn't take any of those guys. And then this past Wednesday, so now we're getting to this week. Okay, we have David Njoku added for $5 by Spank Engine, no other bids on him. We have Broncos Country Let's Ride adding Titans D for $3. I did put in a bid on Titans D for $0, but I was going to add a defense $0 either way, so I put in like 4 bids and just see who I got. So Titans D I did not get. Greg Dulcich from Denver was added by Spank Engine unsuccessfully because he added Njoku. Spank Engine added Deshaun Watson for $2. What do we think about that? What are the thoughts?
I mean, he's coming back, right?
He's coming back week 11. So that would be, 2 weeks from now. So I guess
I don't see anything wrong with that play.
Ted was trying to get him ahead of the game. It could be interesting. You know what it could be interesting for is if Ted could put together a string of wins, maybe end 6-7. If he puts together a winning streak, that by that time Watson could be back and rolling with the best running back in the league in Chubb, and then having Amari Cooper as his receiver. He could be a pretty consistent fantasy option. So maybe Ted's thinking.
Wait, what did you just say? Okay. I thought for some reason you meant Ted had Chubb. I was like, when the hell did this happen?
No, just Deshaun Watson
No, you meant Deshaun Watson.
yeah,
Okay, yeah. Sorry,
having
I was
Chubb
like,
there
when did the Chubb trade go through? I was not a part of. That's what I was trying to figure out.
during the pod. No, even though I'm still longing to have an on pod trade, but we'll get there one day maybe. Um, but yeah, so Deshaun Watson, sneaky little ad here. I will criticize this though, and I said it in the chat, and everyone ignored it. But Jared Goff, he dropped Jared Goff, and he should have just dropped Aaron Rodgers or Daniel Jones. I don't know why he had to go hurtful and drop Jared Goff, but Ted, I don't like that move. I don't have respect for that move, and I think you might be making a mistake there. Jared Goff was probably claimed the very next day. We'll see. And then Broncos Country Let's Ride adds Jimmy G, right, for $1. We saw that. All right, and now I have to get to the big deal. The big deal. Jordan pointed this out this morning. We had the Gug added by Spank. Spankin' was making some moves here.
What is a Gug?
Watson, the Gug.
What is a Gug? I didn't know. I apologize. My lore's not all caught up. Like, what is a Gug?
Jordan better not listen to this pod, or else he's gonna go fucking nuts on you in the chat. But the Gug is Graham Gano, the kicker for the New York
Graham
Giants.
Gano. Okay.
Yeah, the Gug.
Okay, that's all you had to say.
Gug. So, yep, Gug, who's kicker 7 right now. And I think he's gone through. Yes, yeah, Gug. He went through his bye week last week, and he's kicker 7. So solid option. Then King of the West added the Cardinals D, dropping the Bengals D. Living in Babylon, and that was for $0. Living in Babylon added Melvin Gordon for $0, which is interesting. We'll see what happens there. I added Mecole Hardman for $0. And then I actually got the job. What's that?
Am I wrong in thinking that Melvin Gordon just has no fantasy value on that offense?
I don't think I think that's all that's been proven so far, to be honest with you. I mean, he's a fumble machine. Granted, 13 points last week. He has a 13-point, a 13-point, and a 15-point week out of 8 weeks. Out of 9 weeks, but one of them's a bye week. So he also, with those weeks, has a negative 0.9 week and a 1.1 week. So I wouldn't consider him any more than a flex. And the guy who was running the show there, Javonte Williams, who tore his ACL in week 4, Gordon has really not shown much since then. So I think it's just a flyer ad for Jordan for depth. And $0, so I don't have an issue with it. If you spent $5, then we're talking about it. But
yeah, of course.
And then added the Giants D for $0 on my bye week for the Ravens, and then didn't get the Cardinals D because of it. And to wrap up this free agent offers report segment, we have this morning where JJJ, or Spidey Va, or Spider Patty's son.
Spider Patty! Oh my god.
Singing those webs. Va actually indecisively dropped Hayden Hurst, who he had added recently, and picked up Robbie Gould, San Fran kicker. And then Tuck added Trevor Lawrence as his quarterback for $0. Now I'm still pretty sure that Tuck is planning on starting Heineke. He's still starting him, so we'll see what happens there. But I guess just maybe a depth ad, or maybe he's tinkering. Maybe he's going to tinker.
He might be seeing something in that Jaguars offense.
Are you talking about like just in general, or are you talking about Tuck?
Yeah, like Tuck. Like maybe he sees like maybe the offense coming to fruition really, really well, coming down. Like maybe he's rostering him for a playoff run or something. You never know.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
Tuck's a gamer, man. You know what I mean? Like he's doing stuff many steps in advance.
Heineke fits him well. He drafted this team when he was trashed in NOLA, and he's 6-3. So Harambe clearly gave him his blessing thus far. All right. Now, if you wouldn't mind doing this, I mean, I can do it if you want, but would you want to do the budget summary segment?
I'm not touching that with a pull, dude. Like, go ahead. I still think the budget summary is fucking stupid. It's like publicly available information. If anybody actually cares, they can just go and look it up.
God, here we go. All
That's
right. All
all
right.
you, man. That's all I gotta say on that one. That's all you.
All right. Here we go. So, free agent budget summary. We have, usually Jordan kills this segment, but again, not here. We have, with the most money, $93. Brennan Lasher follows Spike, spent some money. Okay, he was sitting at like 98 for the longest time. Next, after him, with $90, you have the number one Lamaro Stan, James McClendon on the pod. Then you have after that the faux king of the West, James Wardell with $82. After James Wardell, you have a tie here between Ted Siemens, Thomas the Spank Engine, and JJJ Barun Patel for $67. After that, we're looking at the Descended Loesch, Cole Popovi with $62. After that, you have Living in a Babylon, Jordan Dry, co-host who's not here with $58. After that little number, you've got Broncos Country. Let's ride. Matthew
That's
Dampier,
right.
$42.
And he's in the airplane hallway, baby.
And then, fine. Nope. Then you got Bums Are Us, Tucker Nugent, Goalpost Tuck, hashtag the Scrimp with $30. And then finally, coming in utterly last place, you have myself biting kneecaps with $8 whole. So, Mr. Big
You've always
Spender,
been a fiend, dude. You've always been a fiend for spending money on the waiver.
I've always just what's the word here? Trying to say irresponsibly spent my waiver dollars, and now especially this year, knowing I can do $0 bids. Definitely spent my money down. I definitely have listed on old pods my regrettable buys, but hey, it happens. So
They can't all be winners, man.
not in the budget. Nope. So
I mean, normally we don't have as many losers as you got, but it's okay.
I've had some bad fab acquisition losers for sure that I've spent like big money. I mean, I dropped Gus Edwards and I dropped $27 on him. Just $15 on New England's defense, no longer with me. Couple other ones that I could list, but again, I won't go through it. But that leads us into, you missed this. I know you've missed this. We have Icy-Hot Takes to give.
Let's go!
Sponsored by Shaquille O'Neal.
Let's go, Shaq.
Shaq-a-roni, baby. I think, in order for us to keep this sponsorship, Jordan and I each have to eat a Shaq-a-roni a week, purchased with our own money. But they're such a good deal, I feel like I'm not losing anything out of my wallet.
Brand new Shaq-a-roni pizza. Yeah, I mean, the Shaq-a-roni, you definitely get your money's worth. Don't ask what specific meat from Shaq they're making the sausage out of. You don't want to know.
Well, we know Shaq has unlimited meat in certain areas, so who knows? But have you had a Shaq-a-roni before?
No, I actually have not had Papa John's in probably over a year.
That's fair. Me neither. But maybe the Shaq-a-roni. Aside from the ones that I've eaten for this, I definitely have. I've been eating them. So, yeah, forget I said that. So do you got an icy hot take?
Yes. Well, I don't know if it's icy hot, but as long as Broncos Country Let's Ride's name is Broncos Country Let's Ride, he will not win a game where he does not start Russell Wilson.
That's icy and it's hot because the fact that Russell Wilson is such a bad quarterback I think that's the hot part of the take. I guess the icy is the fact that he'd keep the name the same.
You dare invoke that phrase, right? But you don't, as you say, buy into it?
That's
like okay. I'll tell you one thing that we don't put up with in this fantasy football league. It's acting like you're that guy. You're not that guy, pal. Okay? You're not that guy. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, fair. Fair. Yeah, no, maybe he meant Broncos Country. He even did the acronym BCLR, Broncos Country Let's Ride. He's fully bought in, but he's not bought in.
Like,
Yeah,
how bought in can you be when you're not even representing the creator of the phrase?
that's a fair point. Unless he means that he's riding his bench, but he should be riding, trying to ride
Broncos
him to a
Country.
championship.
Let's ride the pine.
All right. So my icy hot take. I think that the icy part of this, and some will disagree, is that Ted made a mistake dropping Jared Goff. Um, so even if you think that's not icy, we can also throw in the fact that Ted's quarterback play hasn't been great. Daniel Jones, he starts over Goff and Aaron, loses the week, I believe, because of it, because he puts up like 9. But
Okay.
both Goff and Aaron haven't been good, right? So he has had tough. The icy is that he's had tough quarterback play. Teddy boy, and as much as I love him, I can't get over this Goff drop. Teddy boy won't win another game until he adds Goff back onto his team.
Oh my god!
And
What the fuck?
That goes.
Wait, so he doesn't have to start him. He just has to
He
have
doesn't
him.
have to start him, but he needs to roster him. And this goes into the playoffs. I mean, if Ted does not add back Goff, he's a league loser.
Oh my.
Now,
Okay.
Now I will throw this in. I'll throw this in. If someone else adds Goff and Ted doesn't have the chance to get him, that's different. But if Goff sits there disrespectfully on the waivers, then yeah, and Ted chooses week in and week out not to pick him up, then yes, yeah, that's gonna send he won't win another game until he rosters Goff, or until Goff is rostered, I guess, but preferably by him.
Oh my god. Okay.
Icy hot, baby. Okay.
This is like some ancient curse, like the curse of Goff or something.
This isn't Trent. This isn't the curse of Goff. No, only Harambe can assign curses as such.
Only the Lions have to deal with the curse of Goff.
Yeah, only the Lions in the real football have had to deal with that, but only Harambe can assign actual curses.
So
These are just icy hot takes.
Just an aside, I haven't actually watched any Lions football this year. Is Jared Goff like playing all right?
Jared Goff.
I didn't say good. Like, is he not the reason that they're losing?
Not mostly. I'd say in the 6 losses they have, I'd say Goff is probably the culprit of 2 of them, and I'd say the defense is the reason for the other 4.
Okay.
So I would say, and for the wins, the 2 wins we have, I would say that Goff played a big key in one of them, and the defense played a surprisingly big key in the one last week. So I guess that would make him average. He's responsible really for one of the wins and responsible for two of the 6 losses.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say it's right about there. So when you look at it that way, he's like 1 and 2. But yeah, so then we'll move on to our final segment here. The Watson segment, sponsored by Snickers. Maybe the team just needs a Snickers, right? Where we just go over what Watson is thinking, because Watson is so switcheroo, changes every minute, changes on every move. I think we came to the if you agree with this, we came to the kind of agreement last week that we're pretty sure Watson. Well, first of all, we know Watson bases the original standings, like where it goes, like where you're going from. Like, for example, I'm going from 6 to 1 right now, and the 6 is where they put me on draft day. So they don't move you from where they put you on draft day. But the conclusion that we came to is that Watson, because like when you try to make a trade, Watson shows you like how much of a difference you'll make the next week from that trade and the entire season. So Watson is clearly projected out all points all season based on the current standing of that moment, and so that's obviously ever changing. And so we're pretty sure that Watson just projects all of our matchups, all of our points, and projects a literal winner all the way to the end.
Okay.
and that's how they come up with the order.
Yeah, I would believe that. That makes sense to me.
It seems to make the most sense on how Watson keeps coming up with this stuff. But I looking at this, it's not really much change except it looks like you're thrown up on this bad boy here now on the trending up. It's usually me and Babylon have been sitting there, but Babylon actually Babylon took so this is interesting. There's a little bit different. So you're on the trending up. You're up 4 spots because Watson projected you last place at the
I mean,
beginning. Now you're
is that
6th.
is that shocking though?
I would say that's kind of interesting. Watson's made some questionable calls this year, but you're up at 6. Living in Babylon, who has been up at 3, is now up at 5. Where
Oh,
Bums Are Us is now up at 3, and Ascended Loesch is still sitting at 3 and 6. Ascended Loesch is still projected to finish 4th, which we cannot. Ascended Loesch has not fallen past 4th the entire time
well,
we've done this.
let's not forget like Loesch is garnering a lot of love from the AI with his Christian McCaffrey like situation.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah, and it still has to play out. But Va is projected to be 2, which Va and I have been going back and forth the past couple weeks. Broncos Country and King of the West, the faux king, are staying where they were. Follow Spike is 9, and Thomas, the Spank Engine, is 10, which has been the same. And I think that's pretty much everybody. So interesting. Watson is keeping. So there's a little bit of switcheroo towards the middle, but otherwise somewhat the same. So here we are, heading into another week. Thankfully, we could do Dome a little early so we can get to the people before the game, before Thursday night kicks off.
Oh yeah, you're claiming that. I mean, I've seen some discussion between
Yeah,
Jordan and everybody else that maybe that's not the case,
we don't
but
have to. We don't have to talk about past situations. We can just look to the future. Look to the future. And on that note, do you have any final words after your first appearance on Dome this season? Any words to the league?
yeah, keep my name out your fucking mouth. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
All right. No final words on my end except Jordan, if you're listening, I miss you. Um, I'm not getting upset or anything. I mean, JB's been a great co-host this episode,
I had to console him before Dome started.
but I missed you, man. I hope you come back. I mean, I know JB was hoping for animosity between the hosts, but I need my other co-host. I mean, we need to co-host it up again. So hopefully you can get back from whatever state you're in, and we can host it up next week with another guest. So that said, may Harambe's will be done.
Amen.